Welcome to Skya. This is not your usual alien planet, for it is both very similar and yet very different to your own. Here, many species coexist within the same cities. Amongst them are humans like the ones you know, but there are also trolls, humanoid creatures with gray skin and orange horns of many sizes and shapes, as well as having blood colors all over the visible spectrum, and with it their unique caste system. There are quite a few species on this planet, and you may sometimes see some carapacians, consorts, and even occasionally leprechauns on the streets. Our stories focus on one of the biggest metropolises on the planet, Alternia City, where the streets are bustling, the shops are loud and packed, and there's always something going on. Unfortunately, many times the activity comes from the city's infamous criminals and gangs. This large city has a long and complicated history, and is not known for dispensing merciful or gentle justice. Conflicts amongst species and the different social classes has inevitably created a city filled with criminals, illegal activity, rival gangs, crime, and bloodshed. These activities aren't hidden or even hindered in the daylight, and they run rampant across the poorest, darkest, and outermost parts of the town. But fear not, citizen, there is a force out there protecting you. You have the Alternian Police Department, the APD, watching your back and cleaning the streets. These brave officers put their lives on the line to keep the city safe and will do anything for their duty and their home. The best officer on the force is the famous Terezi Pyrope. She's one of the top veterans, with a long and honorable record for seeking justice, punishing criminals with maximum efficiency, and protecting the innocents, as much as possible at least. Miss Pyrope was blinded as a teenager when she stared at the green sun during the disaster that devastated us all years ago. But such was her thirst and desire for justice that she was undeterred, and she learned how to see the world through her nose and tongue, and quickly climbed the ranks to establish herself as one of the most dedicated, cunning, vicious, and smart policewomen that the city has ever seen. She'll stop at nothing to do what's right. Criminals beware, if she catches you, you're headed to jail with no chance of bail. Her partner is the somewhat newer but still efficient Solix Captor. Captor suffers from an unfortunate case of bipolarity and obsession with duality, as well as having powerful psychic abilities that can easily get out of control. But in a city where we have so few to protect so many, Captor's powers, proficiency, and ease with computers, and willingness to make sure the law is obeyed, are all very useful and needed around here, and make him a good officer. Captor and Pyrope are an odd match that don't always see eye to eye, but together they make one of the most feared duos in the city, working together day and night. Other officers include the freakishly strong Sergeant Equius Zahak, a calm but tough officer that enforces strict adherence to rules and regulations. Unfortunately, this often causes damage out in the streets when his strength goes unchecked, or when he runs out of towels to dry himself off with due to perspiration problems and him being easily flustered. His partner is Officer Aradia Megado, a robotic officer with the soul of a deceased officer inside. Though she looks and sounds dead, she's still a valued part of the APD, mostly taking care of smaller offenses and paperwork, as well as calming Sergeant Zahak down. Between the two of them, they form the core membership of DOOF, the Division of Overwhelming Force. As Equius is, of course, freakishly strong, and Aradia is a robot with psychic telekinesis powers. Lastly, we have Dispatch Officer Vriska Circuit. But truth be told, there's something fishy about her, and we're not quite sure whose side she's on. But she somehow managed to convince everyone to get her into the APD. Keep an eye on her. We also occasionally get help from a certain private detective, Mr. Aridin Ampora, who is mostly useless and clueless, helpful only when he focuses on the job and stops being such a giant drama queen. Which is almost never, but, we take whatever help we can get. Other help is also provided by medical examiner Kanaya Mariam, who is healing our officers in the clinic and performing autopsies, sometimes providing vital information for solving cases and chasing down criminals. She also sometimes helps with interrogations because her chainsaw is quite useful as an intimidation technique. We also have on our side Miss Pfeffery Pacious, a young and chirpy relative of the mayor, who makes sure we are provided with resources and helps us deal with the paperwork. She's also in charge of making Officer Solek's captor blush every time she visits. No idea why. And taking charge of the situation, we have Mayor Wayne Vim and Commissioner Armstrong Righteous, leading the strong arms of democracy and law. With such a crew on our side, and so many supports and assistants, surely they must have taken care of all the criminals long ago, right? Unfortunately, the police are few and the city is gigantic, and thus many gangs have formed, that to this day, even some of the oldest gangsters have remained mostly unhindered in their life of crime. As an example, a small but nevertheless successful gang is the Carcat Gang. It was founded by Carcat Vantis, a small-time criminal with a short temper, an affinity for very colorful language, and no hesitation in using violence to accomplish his goals. He used to steal and take mostly only for himself, but now has taken 2 fellow trolls under his command to aid him in his unlawful activities, taking active role as leader and putting far behind him his days when he stole and fought only for his own survival. Joining him are Nepetele Jaune, a cat-obsessed young troll girl who uses sharp claws to defend herself should violence ever be used, which she very much dislikes. She is mostly harmless and does not intend to hurt anyone, but will use force if stressed or cornered, and will follow Carcat's orders, especially since we have suspicions that she is somewhat fond of him. Last but not least, we have Gamzee Makara, a drug addict with clown makeup. But don't be fooled by his ridiculous appearance and seemingly unshakable calmness. He has eluded the APD more times than they would like to admit, and seems to be a surprising force to be reckoned with when angered. Which is almost never, because, he's stoned out of his mind. Many gangs compete for the title of being most powerful in the city. First of all, we have the mob led by our local mob boss, the nefarious and notorious Mr. Pupa. Once a young troll confined to a wheelchair and a lonely life of wealth, now he controls a large portion of the city, possibly including the aforementioned Carcat Gang, and he is almost untouchable in his reputation as being the seemingly kind and generous, but nevertheless ruthless and cunning. Everyone knows that his public persona, Tavros Nitrum, is just a figure to inspire pity and weakness into you, citizen. Do not believe his lies. One of the most dangerous Carapacian gangs is the Midnight Crew. Despite being founded by just 4 Dursites that form its core membership, it is infamous for being determined, capable, and able to engage in lethal hand-to-hand combat with ease. Their leader, Spade Slick, is a master of knives, and has nothing but hatred for all, and has no patience for whomever gets in his way. Their most fierce rival gang is the Felt, a strange leprechaun gang that has a wide array of time-related powers that are mind-bending and unpredictable when combined, led by the mysterious and unseen L.E. There are many other criminals out there, citizen, but these are the ones you must be most wary of. Others include, just to provide a brief rundown on our other 3 major gangs, the Mindfang Pirates plaguing the city's harbors, the Mobster Kingpin Mob, named after their leader, Mobster Kingpin, which uses black magic and is altogether just plain creepy, and the Cult of the Secret Wizard, a mysterious gang of, secret wizards. How do I describe them? It's basically a consort cult that will that you'll see a consort standing on the side of the robe, and he'll be wearing like a bed sheet or some such, and he'll say, "Would you like to behold my robes?" And if you respond, he will whip out a machine gun that could not possibly have fit under there and riddle you with bullets. That's generally how they operate. Yeah. The city's long history of crime has also inspired many other citizens to take a stand of their own in defending the city, such as Egbertman, a young human that seems to bend the wind at will, and he uses his powers to prank unaware criminals for laughs. We have Rose Lalonde Seer, providing otherwise rare inside information on crimes should you be able to decipher her riddles and words. A young man that goes by the name of Strider has created his own mafia, manned by his time travel clones, but it often acts independently of anyone else's wishes for its own purposes. Terezi seems to have taken a mysterious interest in this young boy as well. It's also theorized that there is some possible connection between the Strider Mafia and the masked vigilante Crowbro, who stalks the rooftops at night. Actually, to be honest, we don't see much of Crowbro, just more of the remains of the criminals he leaves behind. Corpses and that sort of thing. Kanai has gotten used to that in the autopsy reports. But anyway, I digress. Lastly, we have the elusive Space Lass, a young woman that is rumored to be able to teleport, and is a crack shot with a rifle. Now perhaps this all seems like a little too much information. Perhaps now you're too scared to even leave your home. You wonder if the Carcat gang will corner you, if you'll get caught in a gunfight between the crew and the Felt, or just have an unseen encounter with a hero or villain we don't even know about. Well, dear citizen, fear not. It is our duty to protect you and make sure you get home safe. Rest well, for we have our top officers on the job. Terezi Pyrope and Solix Captor at your service. Criminals and villains beware, for they are troll cops.